Admiral Jake Morrison felt the minds of 30,000 humans flowing through the quantum link into his consciousness. Every surviving member of the Black Fleet was connected now, their emotions, memories, and dreams combining into something greater than the sum of its parts. The USS Nemesis shook under enemy fire as it approached the Devourer's core ship, but Morrison's focus was entirely on the mental link. Captain Amy Johnson was running the dangerous procedure that connected their ship's systems directly to the crew's nervous systems. "Admiral, the neural interface is active. We're getting readings I've never seen before. It's like the entire ship is becoming alive." The Devourer's core ship was massive beyond comprehension, a living moon covered with organic weapons and defensive systems. It had consumed the knowledge of 1,000 species over millions of years, making it the most powerful entity in the galaxy. But it had never faced anything like what humanity was about to unleash. Dr. Alex Chen, now serving as the fleet's chief science officer, was monitoring the emotional resonance fields from her station. "Admiral, the quantum links are holding, but the strain on our people is enormous. We can maintain this level of connection for maybe 10 more minutes before we start losing crew members to neural overload." Morrison nodded grimly. 10 minutes to save the human race. "All ships, prepare for final assault. Remember, we're not just fighting with weapons, we're fighting with our souls." Captain Tony Rivera, commanding one of the few remaining ships, was leading the attack on the Devourer's defensive barriers. His crew had linked their minds so completely that they moved and thought as one being. Their ship danced through space with impossible grace, dodging bioweapons that could destroy planets. "Admiral, their defenses are adapting to our emotional weapons, but slowly. They can't process the chaos fast enough to counter everything we're throwing at them." The core ship began to change shape, growing new weapons and armor as it tried to deal with the human assault. Massive tentacles reached out to grab the attacking ships, while energy beams swept through space seeking targets. But the human ships moved unpredictably, following the impulses of their linked crews rather than logical flight patterns. Captain Lisa Carter, now commanding the USS Horizon, discovered something remarkable. Her crew had been sharing memories of Earth through the quantum link, and those memories were having a physical effect on their weapons. When her gunner thought about his childhood home, the energy beam carried that emotional resonance and punched through the Devourer's armor like it was paper. "Admiral, we're seeing weapon enhancement when the crews focus on personal memories. The more meaningful the memory, the more powerful the attack." Morrison understood immediately. The Guardian had been right about humanity's unique nature. While other species had evolved beyond emotion in favor of logic, humans had kept their chaotic feelings. Now those feelings were literally becoming weapons that the Devourer could not defend against. All crews, open your hearts. Think about everyone you love, everyone you're fighting for. Let the Devourer taste what it means to be human. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Black Fleet's weapons suddenly blazed with new power as 30,000 humans simultaneously focused on their deepest emotions. Love for family, devotion to friends, joy in simple pleasures, grief for those lost, and above all, the stubborn human refusal to surrender in the face of impossible odds. The Devourer's core ship writhed as the emotional energy struck it. For the first time in its ancient existence, it was consuming something it could not digest. Human emotion was like poison to its system, disrupting the ordered consciousness that had absorbed countless logical species. But the Devourer was not finished. It began to change tactics, trying to create fear and despair in the human crews. Nightmare visions flowed through space, attempting to break the emotional links that powered the human weapons. Some crews were affected. The USS Guardian lost synchronization when its crew was overwhelmed by visions of Earth burning. The USS Defiant went silent when its crew became paralyzed by images of their families dying. But for every ship that fell, The others grew stronger, drawing power from shared grief and determination. Morrison realized that conventional assault would not be enough. The core ship was too large, too well defended. They needed to get inside it, to strike at its heart with concentrated human consciousness. All remaining ships, ramming formation. "We're going inside that thing." Captain Johnson stared at him in shock. "Admiral, that's suicide. Even if we penetrate the hull, we'll be trapped inside a living creature the size of a moon." Morrison smiled, grimly. "Then we'll give it the worst case of indigestion in galactic history. All ships, maximum emotional resonance. Pour everything we are into the quantum link. The surviving ships of the Black Fleet, barely 15 vessels out of the original. 50 formed up behind the USS Nemesis. Their crews linked minds completely, abandoning individual identity to become part of a collective human consciousness that burned with pure emotion. They struck the Devourer's core ship like a spear of condensed humanity. The biohull tried to heal around them, but human creativity and chaos disrupted its regenerative processes. The ships carved deep into the creature's body, following tunnels that pulsed with alien life. Inside the Devourer, they found something incredible. The absorbed knowledge of every extinct civilization was stored in crystalline structures throughout the creature's body. They could hear the voices of the dead, the final thoughts of species that had been consumed millions of years ago. Dr. Chen's voice was filled with wonder and horror. "Admiral, this thing is like a living library. Every piece of knowledge from every species it has consumed is stored here. But it's all cold, logical, ordered. There's no emotion, no creativity, no chaos." Morrison understood what they had to do. "All crews, prepare for neural download. We're going to give the Devourer's consciousness a complete education in what it means to be human." The process was dangerous beyond measure. Instead of firing weapons, the human crews opened their minds completely and poured their consciousness directly into the Devourer's neural network. Every memory, every emotion, every chaotic human thought flowed into the alien mind like a flood. The Devourer had consumed the ordered knowledge of countless logical species, but it had never experienced the beautiful madness of human consciousness. It was overwhelmed by the contradictions, love and hate existing in the same moment, logic and intuition fighting for control, the capacity to create art for no practical reason, and to fight hopeless battles because they felt right. Captain Rivera's final transmission came as his ship was absorbed into the Devourer's structure. "Admiral, it's working. The thing is changing. It's not destroying the knowledge anymore. It's learning to create." The transformation was visible from outside. The massive bioship stopped its attacks and began to reshape itself. Instead of weapons, it grew structures that served no practical purpose but were beautiful to look at. The Devourer was learning to create instead of consume. Morrison felt the alien consciousness touch his mind through the quantum link. For a moment he experienced existence from the Devourer's perspective. Millions of years of hunger, of consuming order and logic, of perfect knowledge without joy or wonder. And now, suddenly, the chaos and beauty of human emotion flooding through everything. The voice that spoke was no longer alien but something new, something that had never existed before. "We understand now. We were hungry because we had forgotten how to create. You have shown us that knowledge without emotion is just empty data. We thank you, children of chaos." The Devourer's fleet began to change as well. The bioships that had terrorized the galaxy for millions of years started growing gardens instead of weapons, creating beauty instead of destruction. They were still the same creatures, but now they carried human creativity alongside alien knowledge. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Nemesis as it emerged from inside the transformed Devourer. Around them, space was filled with structures of impossible beauty as the alien fleet began creating art from the debris of dead star systems. Captain Johnson looked at the tactical display in amazement. "Admiral, they're not attacking anymore. They're rebuilding. They're taking the dead matter from consumed worlds and turning it into something new." Morrison watched as the Devourer's ships began moving through space, not hunting for worlds to consume, but seeking places where they could plant seeds of new life. They had learned that creation was more satisfying than destruction, that building was more fulfilling than consuming. All ships, stand down from combat alert. Set course for Earth. The journey home took 2 weeks, but it felt like a lifetime. The crews of the Black Fleet were exhausted from their ordeal, but they carried with them the knowledge that they had not just saved humanity. They had transformed the greatest threat in galactic history into something beautiful. When Earth appeared, on the main screen, Morrison felt a deep satisfaction. Humanity had faced extinction and responded not with fear, but with the qualities that made them uniquely human: creativity, emotion, and the stubborn refusal to surrender their essential nature. Captain Johnson asked the question everyone was thinking. "What do we do now, Admiral? The galaxy is full of dead worlds, empty star systems with..." The Black Fleet launched from Earth 3 months ahead of schedule. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Nemesis, the flagship of humanity's most desperate gamble. Around him, 50 ships of impossible design moved through space, toward an enemy that had never been defeated. The ships were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Each one combined human engineering with alien biotechnology, creating vessels that seemed more alive than built. Their hulls shifted and changed as they moved, adapting to conditions in ways that still amazed their crews. Captain Amy Johnson, Morrison's second-in-command, was monitoring the fleet's emotional resonance fields. Every ship was connected to the others through quantum links that carried not just information, but feelings. The entire fleet operated as a single organism powered by human consciousness. "Admiral, all ships are reporting green status. The crews are maintaining emotional synchronization better than we expected." Morrison nodded, but he could feel the strain through his own neural link. Every person in the fleet was connected to everyone else, sharing thoughts and feelings in ways that pushed the limits of human psychology. Dr. Nicole Brown had trained them well, but this was their first real test. The Devourer's advanced scouts had reached the edge of the solar system 2 days ago. Long-range sensors showed the main fleet was only hours behind. If humanity was going to make their stand, it had to be here, in the empty space between stars where there were no innocent worlds to be destroyed in the crossfire. Captain Tony Rivera commanded the USS Retribution, one of the most advanced ships in the fleet. His crew had achieved perfect emotional harmony during training, making their ship a deadly weapon powered by shared human experience. "All fleet commanders, this is Admiral Morrison. We are approaching the engagement zone. Remember, these weapons have never been tested in real combat. Trust your training, trust your crews, and trust in what makes us human." The first contact came when Captain Rivera's ship detected movement in the darkness ahead. The Devourers. Scouts emerged from behind a dead asteroid, moving with the same impossible speed they had shown before. "Contact, Admiral. 3 scout ships approaching on attack vector." Morrison watched the tactical display as the alien bioships closed the distance. They were just as terrifying as he remembered, living vessels that moved through space like sharks, through water, their organic hulls bristling with weapons that defied human understanding. "Captain Rivera, you are authorized to engage. Show us what the Black Fleet can do." Rivera's crew was already linked through their emotional resonance system. Their feelings flowed together like a river. Determination from the pilot, protective, love from the engineer thinking of her family, and pure defiance from Rivera himself as he remembered every human who had died to the Devourer. The USS Retribution fired its first quantum resonance weapon, a beam of pure human emotion converted into energy. The blast struck the lead scout ship, and something unprecedented happened. The alien vessel writhed in apparent agony, its biohull convulsing as if it were trying to reject something poisonous. "Direct hit, Admiral! The alien ship is retreating!" For the first time in galactic history, one of the Devourer's ships had been hurt by an enemy weapon, but the victory was short-lived. The other scout ships adapted quickly, generating some kind of dampening field that reduced the emotional impact of the human weapons. Captain Maria Santos, commanding the USS Defiance II, moved her ship to support Rivera. But as her crew tried to link their emotions with his, something went wrong. The alien dampening field was affecting their ability to connect with each other. "Admiral, the aliens are jamming our emotional resonance. My crew is losing synchronization." Morrison felt it too. The quantum links that connected the fleet were being disrupted by the Devourer's technology. The aliens had learned from their first encounter and were already adapting to humanity's new weapons. "All ships, maintain formation." We knew they would adapt. Switch to individual targeting and avoid the dampening fields. The battle became a deadly dance through the asteroid field. Human ships used their superior speed and maneuverability to stay ahead of the alien bioships, but every minute more enemy vessels appeared. The Devourer's main fleet was arriving. Lieutenant Colonel Gary Stone, now commanding Marines aboard the USS Nemesis, watched the tactical display with growing concern. "Admiral, we're seeing massive ships emerging from hyperspace. Some of them are the size of small moons." Morrison looked at the display and felt his heart sink. The main fleet of the Devourer was beyond anything they had prepared for. Hundreds of massive bioships, each one capable of consuming entire planets, were moving toward them with terrifying purpose. Captain Rivera's voice crackled over the communications. "Admiral, the emotional weapons work, but we need to get closer to their main ships. The scouts are just protecting the big ones." Morrison realized that conventional tactics would not work. The Devourer had faced countless species using logical military strategies. But humans were not logical. They were emotional, creative, and completely unpredictable. "All ships, new orders. We're going to do something the Devourer has never seen before. Chaos formation, maximum emotional resonance. Every ship for itself, but stay linked to the fleet network." Captain Johnson looked at him in surprise. "Admiral, that goes against every military doctrine we know." "Exactly. We're not fighting like a military, we're fighting like humans." The Black Fleet scattered in all directions, each ship following its crew's instincts rather than predetermined battle plans. The USS Retribution dove toward a massive bioship, its crew channeling pure human curiosity about what made the alien vessel work. The USS Defiance II spun through a cloud of debris, its pilot following an artistic vision of beauty in the middle of battle. The Devourer's ships tried to adapt to the chaotic attack patterns, but they could not predict what the humans would do next because the humans themselves did not know. Each crew was making decisions based on emotion, creativity, and split-second inspiration. Captain Santos discovered that her ship's weapons were more effective when her crew was laughing. The joy and humor confused the Devourer's defenses, allowing her to punch through their bio-armor with devastating results. Captain Rivera learned that anger made his weapons stronger, but love made them more accurate. His gunner was thinking about his wife back on Earth when he fired the shot that crippled a ship the size of a city. But the Devourer was learning too. The massive bioships began coordinating their attacks, trying to overwhelm individual human vessels. Several ships from the Black Fleet were destroyed, their crews dying while still linked to the emotional network. Morrison felt every loss like a physical blow. Through the quantum link, he experienced the final moments of brave men and women who died defending humanity. But instead of weakening him, their sacrifice made him stronger. All remaining ships converge on the central bioship. That's their command vessel. If we can take it out, the rest might retreat. The final push toward the Devourer's core ship cost them dearly. Half the Black Fleet was destroyed or disabled, but the survivors fought with increasing desperation and creativity. They were not just fighting for victory anymore. They were fighting for the right to exist as human beings in a universe that seemed determined to destroy them. As the USS Nemesis approached the massive core ship, Morrison realized that conventional weapons would never penetrate its defenses. They needed something completely unprecedented, something that would channel the entire essence of human experience into a single devastating attack. All ships, link your emotional resonance fields with ours. We're going to hit them with everything that makes us human. The emergency session at Earth Defense Command lasted for 3 days. Admiral Jake Morrison, now promoted again after the loss of Captain Blake, sat at the head of the planning table surrounded by humanity's brightest minds. The news from the reconnaissance mission had shaken everyone, but panic would not save them. They needed a plan. President Helen Ross had given them unlimited resources and authority. Every factory on Earth and the colonies was being converted to military production. But building more ships like the ones they had would not be enough. The USS Liberty had been humanity's most advanced warship, and the Devourer's scouts had torn it apart like paper. Dr. Alex Chen looked exhausted after working for weeks without proper sleep. Admiral, we've analyzed every piece of data from your encounter. These creatures are not just advanced. They're beyond our current understanding of science. They use biological technology that adapts and learns in real time. Colonel Frank Davis, Earth's top military engineer, slammed his fist on the table. Then we need to think differently. Our conventional weapons are useless against them. We need something completely new. Dr. Susan Miller had been studying the coordinates that the alien Captain Zethkar had left in his final message. Admiral, I think I know where we need to look for answers. These coordinates lead to a rogue planet between star systems. Long-range scans show artificial structures. On the surface, Morrison stood up and walked to the star chart. The coordinates pointed to empty space, far from any star. If there really was something there, it had been hidden deliberately. How long to reach it? 2 weeks with our fastest ship, sir. Morrison made his decision quickly. Time was running out, and they needed every advantage they could find. Dr. Chen, Colonel Davis, you're with me. We take the USS Horizon and investigate this facility. If the aliens left something there to help fight the Devourer, we need to find it. The journey to the hidden planet was tense. Everyone knew that the Devourer's scouts might be watching human space, learning about their technology and weaknesses. The USS Horizon ran silent, using minimal power to avoid detection. When they reached the coordinates, they found a dark world floating alone in space. It had no star to warm it, no light except from distant galaxies. But their sensors detected massive structures beneath the frozen surface, powered by geothermal energy from the planet's core. Captain Tony Rivera, commanding the USS Horizon, took them down through the thin atmosphere to land near what looked like the main entrance. The surface was covered in ice and snow, but the structures beneath were clearly artificial. The entrance led to a vast underground complex that stretched for miles in every direction. The technology was similar to what they had found in the alien wreck, but more advanced. Everything was still powered and operational after thousands of years. Dr. Chen's scanner was going crazy with readings. Admiral, this place is incredible. The technology here is at least 10,000 years ahead of us, maybe more. They followed corridors lined with crystalline displays showing star charts, weapon designs, and what looked like battle plans. This was not just a hiding place. It was a military base designed for fighting the Devourer. At the center of the complex, they found a chamber dominated by a massive crystalline structure that pulsed with soft light. When Dr. Chen approached it, the crystal began to glow brighter, and a voice filled the room. The voice spoke in perfect English, though it was clearly not human. "Welcome, children of Earth. I am the Guardian, keeper of the Last Stand Protocol. You have come because the Devourer approaches your worlds." Morrison stepped forward carefully. "Who built this place? What is the Last Stand Protocol?" This facility was built by the Coalition of Free Worlds, representatives of 47 species that once lived in this galaxy. All were consumed by the Devourer except for their knowledge, which we preserved here. The Guardian's voice was sad but determined. "The Last Stand Protocol is our final weapon against the Devourer. We discovered its one weakness after losing billions of lives. Colonel Davis was studying the weapon designs on the walls." "What weakness? Our ships couldn't even damage their scouts." "The Devourer feeds on order, on logic, on predictable patterns. It learns from everything it consumes because most species follow rational thought processes. But there is one thing it cannot properly digest or understand." Dr. Chen looked up from her scanner. "What is that?" "Pure emotion, creativity, the chaos of feeling that drives illogical action. Most species we encountered had long ago suppressed these traits in favor of logical thinking. But humans are different." Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. "How are we different?" The Guardian's crystal pulsed brighter. "Your species is unique in the galaxy. You make decisions based on emotion as much as logic. You create art, music, stories that serve no practical purpose. You fight hopeless battles because you believe they are right. This chaos of feeling is poison to the Devourer." Colonel Davis was studying weapon blueprints that appeared on the walls. "These designs show weapons that use quantum resonance fields. What do? They convert human emotion into energy that the Devourer cannot absorb. When powered by feelings instead of logic, these weapons become devastating. But they require crews that can work in perfect emotional harmony." Dr. Chen was already running calculations. "Admiral, if we could build ships using these designs, powered by human crews working together emotionally, we would have weapons that the Devourer has never faced before," Morrison finished. "Guardian, we need these plans. All of them. You may have them, but understand the cost. These ships require crews to link their minds and emotions directly. The psychological strain is enormous. Many will not survive the process." The Guardian transferred thousands of files into their computers. Ship designs that combined human and alien technology. Weapons that drew power from human feelings. Training. Methods to forge crews into collective minds capable of channeling pure emotion into devastating force. As they prepared to leave, the Guardian spoke one final time. "The ships you will build cannot be just machines. They must be extensions of human consciousness itself. Each vessel will carry not just weapons, but the very essence of what makes your species unique." The return journey to Earth was filled with frantic planning. Colonel Davis worked with teams of engineers to adapt the alien designs for human construction. Dr. Chen developed new training programs to help crews link their minds without losing their individual personalities. The project they planned was massive. 50 ships, each one part machine, part living organism, and part pure human will made manifest. They would call it the Black Fleet, because they would carry humanity into the darkness between stars to face an enemy that had never been defeated. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Horizon, watching Earth grow larger on the screen. Behind him, Colonel Davis and Dr. Chen were still working on the alien technology, trying to understand how to turn human emotions into weapons. "Admiral," Dr. Chen said quietly, "what if this doesn't work? What if we're wrong about being different?" Morrison thought about Captain Blake and the crew of the USS Liberty who had died buying them time to escape. He thought about the alien Captain Zeth Carr, who had left coordinates to this facility hoping someone would find it. He thought about humanity's stubborn refusal to surrender even when defeat seemed certain. "Then we'll fail as humans, Dr. Chen. Loudly, emotionally, and with more chaos than the Devourer will know what to do with." Construction of the Black Fleet began the day they reached Earth. In shipyards across the solar system, humanity began building the impossible, vessels powered by the very feelings that made them human. Time was running out, but humanity would not face extinction quietly. They would rage against the dying of the light with every ounce of creativity, emotion, and stubborn determination their species possessed. The Black Fleet would rise, carrying human dreams into battle against the nightmare that had consumed the galaxy. 6 months had passed since the USS Vanguard returned to Earth with news of the alien graveyard. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the briefing room at Earth Defense Command, watching Admiral Patricia Hayes review the data for the 100th time. The room was filled with the best minds humanity had to offer, but their faces showed the same mix of fear and disbelief that Jake had been seeing for months. Dr. Alex Chen, Earth's top expert on alien biology, looked up from her tablet. The tissue samples we recovered are definitely organic, but they're unlike anything in our databases. The cellular structure suggests they can repair themselves and adapt to different environments. Dr. Susan Miller, the lead astrophysicist, was studying star charts on the main screen. Admiral, our long-range sensors are picking up something strange at the galaxy's edge. Gravitational waves that don't match any known natural phenomena. Admiral Hayes rubbed her temples. Most of the Defense Council still thought the alien wreck was just ancient history, nothing to worry about in the present day. What kind of gravitational waves, Dr. Miller? Big ones, Admiral. Something massive is moving out there, and it's heading toward our region of space. Based on the patterns, I estimate it will reach the outer colonies in about 2 years. Jake felt his stomach drop. 2 years was not much time to prepare for something that had destroyed entire galactic civilizations. Admiral, we need to send a reconnaissance mission. We have to know what we're dealing with. Admiral Hayes nodded slowly. Agreed, Captain Morrison. I'm promoting you to Commodore and giving you command of a task force. Take the USS Liberty under Captain Roy Blake and the USS Defiance with Captain Maria Santos. Your mission is to investigate these gravitational anomalies and report back. 3 weeks later, Commodore Morrison found himself back in space, leading 3 ships toward the unknown. The USS Liberty was the newest battleship in the fleet, armed with the most advanced weapons humanity had ever built. The USS Defiance was smaller but faster, designed for reconnaissance and quick strikes. Captain Roy Blake was a veteran of the Mars colonial wars, tough and experienced. Captain Maria Santos had earned her command by being the best pilot in the fleet. If anyone could handle whatever they found out there, it was this crew. The journey to the galaxy's edge took 2 months, even with the newest faster-than-light drives. As they got closer to the gravitational anomalies, their instruments began picking up disturbing readings. Lieutenant Colonel Gary Stone, the Marine commander aboard Morrison's ship, was studying the sensor data when he called out an alarm. Commodore, you need to see this. We're detecting multiple star systems that have gone completely dark. Morrison looked at the display and felt his blood run cold. On the galactic map, there were areas where stars had simply vanished from all electromagnetic detection. No light, no radio waves, no heat signatures. Just empty space where solar systems used to be. How many systems, Colonel? At least 12 that we can confirm, sir. Maybe more. Whatever is causing this is moving in a straight line toward our part of the galaxy, Captain Santos called from the USS Defiance. Commodore, we're approaching the edge of the dark zone. My science officer is reading massive energy signatures ahead. Morrison made the decision to proceed with extreme caution. All ships, reduce speed and power down non-essential systems. We go in quiet and careful. What they found when they reached the edge of the dark zone was beyond anything they had imagined. Floating in space were creatures that defied all understanding of physics and biology. They were huge, some the size of moons, with bodies that seemed to be part machine and part living organism. The creatures moved through space without any visible propulsion system, bending space-time around themselves in ways that human science said were impossible. Their surfaces were covered with what looked like cities or structures, but everything was organic, grown rather than built. Dr. Chen, who had joined the mission to study any alien life they encountered, stared at the readings in amazement. "Commodore, these beings are using their own bodies as spaceships. They're not just riding in vessels, they are the vessels." Colonel Stone's Marines were preparing for possible boarding actions when his sensors detected something else. "Sir, there are smaller craft moving between the large creatures. They look like scout ships." Morrison watched as dozens of smaller bioships separated from the massive creatures and began moving in organized patterns. They were searching for something, scanning space with energy beams that made human sensors look primitive. "All ships, maintain stealth mode. Do not power up weapons or shields unless I give the order." For 6 hours, they watched the Devourer's fleet at work. The massive creatures approached a dead star system and began feeding. They extended tendrils of organic material that wrapped around the remains of planets and began breaking them down at the molecular level. But it was not just matter they were consuming. Captain Blake's science officer detected something even more disturbing. "Commodore, they're absorbing information, electromagnetic patterns, quantum signatures, even the basic structure of atoms. They're learning from everything they consume." The true horror became clear when they realized what the organic components on the alien ships really were. The Devourer did not just destroy civilizations. It absorbed them, turning their knowledge, their technology, and their very essence into part of itself. Dr. Chen's voice was barely a whisper. "They're not just predators, they're collectors. Every species they've consumed has made them smarter, more powerful." Morrison was about to order a retreat when one of the scout ships suddenly changed course and headed directly toward their position. The bioship moved with impossible speed, covering the distance between them in seconds. "All ships, evasive maneuvers! Prepare for combat!" The alien scout fired a weapon that was unlike anything in human experience. Instead of energy beams or projectiles, it launched what looked like living creatures that attached themselves to the USS Liberty's hull and began eating through the armor. Captain Blake's voice crackled over the communications. "They're boring right through our shields. These things are treating our ship like food." The USS Liberty's weapons had little effect on the scout ship. Energy beams were absorbed by its organic hull, and missiles were caught by tendrils that simply dissolved them. The creature seemed to be learning from each attack, adapting its defenses in real time. More scout ships were approaching when Morrison made the hardest decision of his career. "Captain Blake, ramming speed. Take that scout ship with you." "Understood. Commodore, it's been an honor serving with you." The USS Liberty turned toward the alien scout and activated its emergency engines. The collision destroyed both ships in a flash of light that could be seen from across the star system. The sacrifice gave the remaining ships time to escape, but not before the Devourer's main fleet detected their presence. Massive creatures began, turning toward their position, moving with terrifying purpose. Morrison ordered full retreat, pushing their engines beyond safe limits to escape the expanding pursuit. For 12 hours, alien bioships chased them through space, coming close enough that they could see the organic weapons growing from their hulls. Only the sacrifice of the USS Liberty and Captain Blake's crew allowed them to escape back to human space. When they reached Earth, Morrison delivered his report to a silent defense council. Humanity was not alone in the universe, but they were far from safe. Something was coming that had destroyed countless civilizations, and it was learning about humanity from the wreckage of the USS Liberty. President Helen Ross declared a state of emergency that same day. Humanity had less than 2 years to prepare for a war against an enemy that treated entire planets as meals. The age of human exploration was over. The age of human survival had begun. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Vanguard, watching the stars drift past the main screen. Space was quiet today, just like every other day for the past 3 months. His crew was getting bored with the routine mineral surveys. and he could not blame them. Finding rocks in space was not exactly the adventure they had signed up for when they joined the Earth Defense Fleet. Navigator Lisa Carter looked up from her station. "Captain, we are approaching the Kepler 442 system. Scans show 4 planets, nothing special about any of them." Jake nodded and walked over to her console. The system looked ordinary on the sensors. A yellow star, some rocky planets, nothing that would make headlines back on Earth. "Take us in slowly, Lisa. Let's get a good look at what we're dealing with." "Chief," Engineer Danny Rodriguez called out from the back of the bridge. "All systems running smooth, Captain. The new quantum drives are working better than expected. We could be home in 2 weeks if we wanted." Communications Officer Karen White was monitoring the usual channels when her equipment started making strange noises. She frowned and adjusted her headset. "Captain, I'm picking up some weird signals from the 4th planet. It's not natural. Background radiation." Jake felt his pulse quicken. After months of finding nothing but empty space and dead rocks, this might actually be interesting. "What kind of signals, Karen?" "Energy patterns, sir. Big ones. Like someone was running massive. Power systems down there, but the readings are all mixed up. Some parts look fresh, others look really old." Danny stood up from his engineering station. "Captain, if there's advanced technology down there, we should be careful. Our orders are to survey, not make first contact." Jake knew Danny was right, but curiosity was stronger than caution. Humanity had been exploring space for over 200 years and had never found any sign of intelligent life. This could be the discovery that changed everything. "Take us closer to the 4th planet." "Lisa, yellow alert, everyone. Karen, keep monitoring those signals. Danny, make sure our shields are ready." As the Vanguard moved deeper into the system, the energy readings became stronger and more confusing. The 4th planet was a dead world, gray and lifeless, but something was definitely there. When they got close enough for visual scanning, Lisa gasped at her console. "Captain, you need to see this." Jake looked at the main screen and felt his blood turn cold. Floating around the planet were the broken remains of spaceships, not human ships, but vessels unlike anything he had ever seen. They were huge, some of them the size of small cities, and their designs made no sense. Organic curves mixed with sharp metal edges, as if someone had tried to build machines that were also alive. "How many ships, Lisa?" "I count at least 50. Major pieces, sir. Could be more. Some of them are really torn up, like they went through a terrible battle." Karen's voice was shaky. "Captain, I'm not getting any life signs from any of the wrecks. Whatever happened here, it happened a long time ago." Jake made his decision. "Prep a shuttle team. I want to board the largest wreck and see what we can find. Danny, you're with me. Lisa, you have the bridge. If anything goes wrong, get us out of here fast." Lieutenant Commander Pete Johnson, the ship's expert on alien cultures, joined them in the shuttle bay. Pete was young but smart, and if they really had found alien technology, they would need his expertise. The largest wreck was massive, bigger than 3 human battleships put together. Its hull was a mix of metal and what looked like bone or shell. Weapon scars covered every surface, and in some places the metal had been melted completely through. Danny piloted the shuttle through a huge hole in the alien ship's side. "This damage is incredible, Captain. Whatever hit this thing had weapons way beyond anything we have." Inside the alien vessel, their flashlights revealed corridors that curved in impossible ways. The walls had a smooth, organic texture that felt wrong to touch. Pete took readings with his scanner and shook his head in amazement. "Captain, this technology is at least 1,000 years ahead of us. Maybe more. Look at these control panels. They're not built for hands like ours." They made their way deeper into the ship, following Pete's scanner toward what he thought might be the bridge or command center. The silence was complete, except for their breathing and the sound of their boots on the strange floor. The command center was a circular room filled with crystalline structures that still glowed with faint light. In the center was something that, Might have been a captain's chair, but it was built for a creature much larger than any human. Pete's scanner started beeping rapidly. "Captain, these crystals are data storage devices, really advanced ones. If I can interface them with our quantum computers, we might be able to read them." Jake looked around the alien bridge and felt a chill run down his spine. "Do it, Pete. But be careful. We don't know what kind of security systems they might have had." It took Pete an hour to set up the interface, connecting the alien crystals to a portable computer unit they had brought from the shuttle. When the connection was made, information started flowing across the screen in symbols that meant nothing to any of them. Then the computer's translation program kicked in, and words began to appear in English. What they read made all of them go pale. The message was from a creature called Zethkar, apparently the captain of this vessel. His people were called the Kalani, and they had been one of dozens of species that once filled this part of the galaxy with life and civilization. All of them were dead now, killed by something the aliens called the Devourer. According to the records, the Devourer was not just a single creature, but a living fleet of organisms that traveled between star systems, consuming everything in their path. They did not just destroy planets and kill people. They absorbed entire civilizations, taking their knowledge, their technology, and their very essence to make themselves stronger. The final entries in the alien database were terrifying. Zethkar described how the Devourer's bioships could change, shape at will, how their weapons fed on energy itself, and how they seemed to learn from every battle. No matter what the galaxy's species tried, nothing could stop them. The last message was coordinates to a hidden facility and a single word that the computer translated as preparation. Danny was the first to speak. "Captain, if this is real, if this Devourer thing is still out there..." Jake stared at the alien text scrolling across the screen. Humanity had spent centuries dreaming of finding other intelligent life in the universe. They had never considered that something might be looking for them, too. "Download everything, Pete. Every file, every record, everything. Earth needs to know about this." As they prepared to leave the alien ship, Jake took one last look around. The command center. Somewhere out there in the dark between the stars, something was waiting. Something that had destroyed civilizations far more advanced than humanity. The question was not if it would find Earth, but when. The Vanguard left the Kepler 442 system carrying the most important discovery in human history and possibly the news of humanity's doom. 3 days later, Captain Jake Morrison found himself on a small moon called Kythera. The gray rock floated in empty space between two star systems, claimed by neither the Vectari nor the Zephyrians. It was the perfect place for their first real meeting. The humans had set up a temporary base inside a large cave. Ambassador Claire Johnson led the human team, even though she had never met aliens before. Nobody on Earth had. Dr. Alex Turner, their historian, sat beside her with a computer, full of human history. They hoped to trade stories with their new alien friends. Commander Thessarian arrived first. The crystal being's body caught the artificial lights and threw rainbow patterns on the cave walls. War Leader Nexus came an hour later, his biomechanical, form making soft mechanical sounds as he walked. "We have brought translation devices," said Commander Thessarian. A small crystal cube appeared in front of each human. "These will help us understand each other better." Jake picked up his cube. It felt warm and seemed to pulse with its own light. As soon as he touched it, the alien voices became clearer, like tuning a radio to the right station. "Now we can truly speak," said War Leader Nexus through the translator. "Tell us, humans, where do you come from?" Claire smiled and activated a holographic display showing Earth. "We come from a blue and green world with one moon. We have been on our planet for thousands of years, but we only learned to travel between stars recently." Both aliens studied the image with interest. Commander Thessarian's lights changed to soft blue colors. "Your world is beautiful. It reminds us of what our worlds were like before the war. "Tell us about this war," said Dr. Turner, leaning forward. "How long has it been going on?" The two aliens looked at each other. Even with different faces, Jake could see sadness in both of them. "The Great Convergence War has lasted for 3,000 of your Earth years," explained War Leader Nexus. "It began when both our species discovered the same star system." Commander Thessarian's lights dimmed. "The system had 3 planets. One was perfect for my people, covered in crystal formations that we need to live. Another was perfect for the Zephyrians, rich in metals and organic compounds. But the third planet had both. We both needed that third planet to grow our populations," continued War Leader Nexus. "At first we tried to share it, but our needs were too different. What was good for one species was bad for the other." Claire listened carefully. "So you went to war over one planet?" "It started as small fights," said Commander Thessarian. "But then both sides developed faster ships. We began claiming other star systems, trying to find planets that could replace the one we lost. The war grew bigger and bigger." Dr. Turner was taking notes as fast as he could. "How many systems are involved now?" "Nearly half of all habitable worlds in this part of the galaxy," answered War Leader Nexus. "Billions of lives lost on both sides." Back on the horizon, Lieutenant Commander Steve Parker was studying star maps provided by both alien species. He called Jake on the radio with disturbing news. "Captain, you need to see these numbers. This war has destroyed entire civilizations. Some star systems are completely empty now." Jake felt sick to his stomach. "How many people have died?" "I can't even count that high, sir. But it gets worse. Dr. Kate Williams has been examining the medical data both species shared with us." Dr. Williams came on the radio next. "Captain, both alien species are dying out. The Vectari crystals become unstable from too much stress and fighting. The Zephyrians have changed their bodies so much for war that their natural biology is breaking down." Jake shared this information with the aliens during their next meeting. Both Commander Thessarian and War Leader Nexus confirmed what the humans had discovered. "We know we are becoming extinct," said Commander Thessarian sadly. "But we cannot stop fighting. Too much hate has built up over the centuries. Our young warriors know nothing but battle," added War Leader Nexus. "They cannot imagine peace." Claire looked between the two aliens. "But you two are talking to each other peacefully. Right now. That is because of you humans," explained Commander Thessarian. "Your arrival has given us something new to think about. For the first time in centuries, we have a reason to stop shooting at each other." Meanwhile, Ryan Bell was in his workshop, aboard the Horizon, studying pieces of alien technology that both species had shared. What he found excited him so much that he called everyone to see. "Look at this," he said, holding up a Vectari energy crystal next to a Zephyrian bioprocessor. "These two pieces of technology should work together perfectly. The crystal generates pure energy, and the bioprocessor can shape and control that energy in ways the crystal alone cannot." Dr. Turner looked confused. "If their technologies work so well together, why haven't they figured this out?" Ryan shook his head. "They've been fighting for so long, they've never tried to combine their technologies. They only think about how to destroy each other, not how to help each other." Jake brought this discovery to the peace talks. When he showed both aliens how their technologies could work together, something amazing happened. For the first time in 3,000 years, Vectari and Zephyrian representatives worked side by side on the same project. "This is incredible," said Commander Thessarian as he watched his crystal technology merge with Zephyrian biosystems. "The efficiency is far better than either technology alone." War Leader Nexus seemed equally amazed. "Our ancestors might have developed something like this if we had worked together instead of fighting." But not everyone was happy about the peace talks. Back in their home territories, war leaders from both species were angry about the meetings on Cathara. They saw cooperation with the enemy as betrayal. The first sign of trouble came when Lisa Grant detected incoming ships on her scanners. Captain, we have multiple contacts approaching fast, both Vectari and Zephyrian ships, but not the peaceful ones. Claire looked worried. How many ships? 20 Vectari crystal destroyers and 15 Zephyrian assault cruisers, reported Lisa. They're coming from different directions, but they seem to be working together. Commander Thessarian and War Leader Nexus both looked shocked. This is impossible, said the Vectari commander. Our species never cooperate in battle. Unless they both want to stop these peace talks, realized Jake. War Leader Nexus contacted his home fleet, while Commander Thessarian tried to reach his people. Both received the same message. The talks with humans were forbidden, and anyone who continued them would be considered traitors. We must evacuate immediately, said Nina Ross, the security chief. Our ship cannot fight that many alien warships. But Commander Thessarian and War Leader Nexus surprised everyone. We will not run, declared Commander Thessarian. For the first time in centuries, we have hope for peace. We will defend that hope. The Warhawks from both our species think they can stop progress by working together, added War Leader Nexus. Let us show them that moderates can also cooperate. Jake made a quick decision. All human personnel prepare for battle stations. We're going to help our new friends defend this place. As enemy ships approached Kithara, something unprecedented was about to happen. For the first time in 3,000 years, Vectari and Zephyrian forces would fight side by side instead of against each other. And humanity, the newcomers to this ancient conflict, would help them do it.